Did anybody ever give you constructive feedback in a way that made you feel ashamed? Did you ever give feedback to another person just to have that person blow up in your face such that you decided you are never ever giving that person feedback ever again? High trust organizations, people feel 74% less stress, 106% more energy, and 76% more engagement. You know why? Because they also feel 106% more comfortable giving feedback and 76% more comfortable receiving feedback. High trust organizations is where you have the meeting. You don't have the meeting before the meeting after the meeting. You only have the meeting during the meeting. This is when you say, great job, and really mean it. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips on giving feedback like you really care. If you find value in this video, like it, subscribe to my channel, and get notified when I release new videos like this. Hi, I'm Yoram Solomon. I am the author of the Book of Trust and the book, Can I Trust You? 67+1 Habits that will make you a trustworthy team member. At the end of this video, I will give you a handout with the feedback pledge that I use with a lot of organizations. This video is part 1 of 2. In the next part, I will talk about receiving feedback like it really matters to you. In the comment section below, write what do you do to give feedback that you found is effective. Tip number 1, is it positive or negative feedback? If you have positive feedback to deliver, do it publicly. Do it behind somebody else's back. Do it anywhere. Do it shouted off the mountaintops. Do it wherever you can, whenever you can. However, if you have negative feedback to deliver, make it in a way that will not make the other person ashamed. Give it in a way that would make them receptive, that would allow them to be open to listen to you. Do it privately. Always do it privately. Never ever do it behind somebody else's back. If you have something negative to tell me, say it to my face, say it privately. Don't do it behind my back. And oh, by the way, never ever put anyone else on BCC. Even if it's positive, never put somebody on BCC. And the reason for that is, imagine what you feel when you get an email from me somehow giving you feedback, reflecting on your work, even if it's positive, and all of a sudden somebody else responds to that email. Your boss responds to that email, even though you did not see them on the to line or on the CC line. They must have been on BCC. You are not going to trust me with feedback after this. Tip number 2, why are you giving feedback? You have to ask yourself when you're about to give someone feedback, especially if it's negative feedback. If it's positive feedback, don't overthink it. But if it's negative feedback, do it for the right reasons. Don't do it with an intention of shaming the other person. Don't do it with an intention of making them feel small. Don't do it to get more power. Do it because you want to give them some feedback that they can use, something that's really constructive. Don't use the word constructive as a punchline. Do it because you really want to help them. And very important, tell them why you're doing this. Tell them that you're doing this to help them improve. Don't do it in a condescending way. Do it in a direct, in a real way. Tip number 3, deliver feedback face to face. This is especially important if you're delivering negative feedback. It's less important when you deliver positive feedback because that has a generally positive effect. Unless it's really important for them to know that you really mean it. Because they will tell that you mean it when they see you, when they hear your tone of voice, and when they see your body language. The consistency between what you say and how you say it is very important. One, for them, for the other person, not to make any assumptions. Because when you just send a text or an email, I can make a lot of assumptions on what do you really mean and what did you really mean by these words and what did you really mean when you say it this way. But when you see me face to face. You can hear how I deliver that feedback, and you can see my entire body language in how I deliver it, and especially when they're consistent. Because I'll tell you something, if I say something to you, but my body language says something else, they're not going to make assumptions, but they're going to know that you are not standing behind what you really said. So stand behind what you said, and let your body language and your tone of voice be consistent with the feedback that you're actually delivering. Tip number 4, the right place and the right time. When you deliver feedback, again, especially negative feedback, there is the right place and there's the right time. Start with just one simple question when you're asking the other person. Again, catch them when they're alone. Catch them when you can't make them feel ashamed, when there's nobody else watching, when there's nobody else even seeing them. You know, some of the offices we have windows, and I can stand there and I can scold you, and everybody else is going to see that through that window. So make sure that you do that in a place that's really, really private. But start with this one question. Can I give you feedback? Can I give you feedback now? There's another question that sometimes I ask, especially when somebody asks me to give them feedback. I ask them, do you want the truth or do you want me to sugarcoat it? I've yet to have somebody respond with, oh, please sugarcoat it. Just lie to me, please. No, they do want to know the truth, but you are kind of setting it up when you ask, can I give you feedback? Maybe this is not the right time for them. By the way, and in the next video I'll talk about that, when somebody asks you if this is the right time and it's not the right time for you, let them know. When I ask, can I give you feedback here and now? I listen to the answer. If they say no, I will not do that. At least not now, not here. Tip number 5, no BS. I call this one the November Oscar Bravo Sierra, or no BS rule, or no BS tip. You know, you may have heard, or maybe somebody taught you of the sandwich approach to giving feedback, which is you start with something positive, then you stick the knife, then you end with something positive. And because you started and you ended with something positive, then overall this is going to be positive. I don't know that I'm a big believer in that. I think that part of it is really BS. It's because, you know, somebody says something to me. I can see on their faces, I can hear from the tone of voice that the knife is about to come. So why start, with BS? How about you start straight to the point? So don't use the sandwich approach. You have feedback to give that feedback. Now, own what you are giving as feedback. One of my pet peeves is when somebody comes to me and says, other people were saying that. What other people? Why didn't they come to me? But you're coming to me. Own the feedback that you give. I'm never going to say, other people have said that. This is what I feel. This is what I'm seeing. I'm the one telling you that. The third part of this is it takes me back to when I was an executive in a Silicon Valley company, a large public company actually. And we were doing those monthly retreats, executive retreats. And our VP of HR, his name was Tom Capizzi. Actually, his name still is Tom Capizzi. We're just not working together anymore. He said something that will never, ever get out of my head. He said, when somebody gives you feedback, keep in mind that 10% of it is real and 100% of it is in perception. It's true in perception. When you give someone feedback, try and base it as much as you can on real things, on real facts. But if you don't have a real fact or anything like that to provide, tell them that this is your perception. Tell them, maybe what I'm giving you now is not 100% real, but this is how I perceive things, and I think you should know. Next part of that is of not delivering BS or no BS delivery. Say what you mean what you say, and oh, by the way, don't be mean when you say it. I saw this slogan on a class that one of my daughters was taking in elementary school. But, don't separate what you mean with the words you're actually saying, especially when you're there in person, which is the way I suggested that you deliver feedback. Say what you mean. If you say something else, the other person will tell that you say one thing and you mean something else. So say what you mean and mean what you say. Now, being direct and being no BS, I want to make sure that you are avoiding a few things such as, there are some high ground words that you can use, such as, I know more than you will ever know. When you say something like this, the other person clams up. They're not going to listen to you anymore. So try and avoid statements like this. Or, for example, you're saying something the other person didn't understand, and you go on with, you did not understand a single word that I said. You think they're going to listen to you after that? So avoid statements like these. Avoid statements that would make the other person shut down and not listen to you anymore. Remember to say this is how you perceive things. And finally, not as a phrase, really be constructive. When you deliver that feedback, in order to deliver it with no BS, really deliver it with the context, in the context of how they're going to be better, not just about you. Well, that's it. As I promised, if you look down in the description or in the comments, you will see a link to the feedback pledge. A feedback pledge, that's one page that I use with organizations. They actually hang it on walls, and they just live up to that feedback pledge on how to deliver and to receive feedback. Write down in the comments or in the description. And once again, if you like the content of this video, like it below, subscribe to it. Get notified when I release more videos just like this. I hope this was valuable to you. I will see you on the next video. The answer to these two questions will have the biggest impact on your personal or professional success or failure. Can I trust you? And can you trust me? If you want to know more, subscribe to our channel or follow us through the links on the right.